stir them, clean their Good evening. I would like to call to order the Keizer City Council in regular session. It is Monday, May 20th, 2024, and ask our city recorder to please call roll.
Councilor Reed?
Here.
Councilor Hussman?
Councilor Hussman is excused tonight.
Councilor Kohler?
Here.
Mayor Clark?
Here.
Council President Starr? Here. Councilor Duran?
Here.
Councilor Cross?
Here.
Youth Councilor Woodard?
Here.
All right, thank you very much. If you are able, I invite you to rise and all join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much. And this evening, it's not on the agenda, but with the indulgence of council, it is a pleasure to have under special orders of business a very special guest, and I will have Councilor Reed introduce them.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So in honor of Asian and Pacific Islanders Month, we have a couple of our McNary seniors coming to give us a dance demonstration. These ladies are Marshallese. They represent our Islander Club, which has Marshallese, Tongan, Chukis, Samoan, a whole variety of Asian or Pacific Islanders, and they have agreed to share with us their talents and share with us some of their culture. So with that, please welcome Cassie Balos and Alice Ward. Yahweh.
close as we sway. Oh, the fire is burning, burning as we sway. All about you, I'm burning as we sway the night away.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much for coming and sharing that with us. Thank you, Councilor Reed, for inviting them here tonight. Once again, for our wonderful dancers tonight. What a lovely way to start our evening together. We'll now go to, is anybody here for a committee report? I don't have anybody signed up, but I want to ask in case somebody forgot to turn in a slip. No committee reports? Okay. We will then go to public comment. This time is provided for citizens to address the council on any matters other than those on the agenda scheduled for public hearing. We don't have any public hearings scheduled for this evening, so I don't have anybody signed up for public comment, but I would invite anybody who would like to come at this point to share with the city council. Okay. We will then move on to administrative action, and item 8A is our solid waste hauling rates. And I'll turn it over to our esteemed colleagues, and Mr. Brown or Mr. Wood, are you going to be introducing our panel tonight?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. We have our haulers from Mid-Valley and Lawrence Recycling, and also their representative that they're using for their analysis. In the past, I think it's been Dr. Estel, I think, is that who it was? And I've got your name here, but I can't remember it off the top of my head.
Dan Strandy.
Mr. Strandy. So they're here to present a proposal for solid waste rates. You might remember that they came last year and presented. The process going forward is that if the council wishes to hold a public hearing to consider the rate increases, then you can make that recommendation after their presentation. That does not obligate you to approving rates. That just opens up a public hearing for it, and after which that decision could be made. So with that, I'll turn it over to our guest.
All right.
Your Honor,
Yeah.
may as well just say.
Oh,
that
thank you.
public hearing wouldn't be tonight.
That's correct.
So
Right.
if you guys wanted, we have to give proper notice of that. So that would come before you if you so chose in June.
Thank you very much. And before we go to our guests this evening, I'd like to go to Councilor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be sitting here and listening to this wonderful participation, but I will not be participating in the discussion as it will be a conflict of interest, as my husband has worked for Lawrence Sanitation for the last 28 years.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that, Councilor Cross. And Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council and staff. I'd like to introduce a new team member, Sean Edmonds. He's going to be our COO, and then Dan Strandy from Mid-Valley Consulting. You should have a request in your packet this evening. Hopefully you guys have had a chance to look at it. We brought Dan along to answer any questions. Is that a little loud?
Nope,
Okay.
just right.
On another note, some of you may have heard, I'm slowing down my work life a little bit, and Sean's going to be taking over for me a little bit. I'll still be around, but just not as much. So welcome, Sean. A lot of faith in him, have known him for 9 years, and I'm confident that he will do a great job for the community. I'll still be around. I'm not going to give it up. Keizer, like you say, Kathy, pride, spirit, and volunteerism is what makes this community so great. And I have been a part of it for 14 years, and I love the community.
You've been a good community partner on so many things, and welcome, Sean. Thank you. All right, thank you. So do you have a presentation to go through tonight?
Yeah, well, we don't have a formal presentation. Did you pass that out in their packet? Okay,
Yeah.
so, yeah. So if you have any questions on it, Dan here is more than happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Do you want to just kind of walk us through, and if you would like, we can, I don't know if we can pop it up on the screen. I'm looking, Ms. Bissett is going, okay, I can flex, which I would appreciate. And mostly I'm doing this for the benefit of our viewing audience. This is telecast. And if they can see what we're talking about, maybe just kind of give a quick overview, a walkthrough, if you will. So folks will know what we're going to be talking about should we move forward to a public hearing. So we will get set up so we can get this out to the community. Oh, we're going to need this, yeah. There it comes. Not yet. In production, finally. You know, it's 15 years.
Probably. Right there.
Okay, I'll try and move rather quickly through this. There's a lot of words. This is more of a story as opposed to a true PowerPoint presentation. Please feel free to stop me if you have any questions as I go through. If you go back one page to the agenda, I'll do a quick overview of why we're here. We'll talk a little bit about inflation, a little caveat on disposal. We'll talk about a potential new service that we would like to offer. And then we'll get into the hauler's request. And then we'll finish with just a comparable rate with the city of Salem to see where Keizer's rates line up with compared to the neighboring city of Salem. And then in the very back is the comprehensive rate packet of services. That's more just for an encyclopedia. We're not gonna go over that. Sort of the overview. Last year, I believe it was February, I'm just gonna say Q1 because I'm not sure the exact date, was the last time a rate adjustment occurred. Since then, we're looking for an adjustment on July 1st, which would be just short of 18 months, as well as a second adjustment on January 1st of 2025. So kind of a two-step adjustment. There's a reason why we want to do a two-step. Getting onto the cadence of a January 1st presents a lot of synergies in terms of how the haulers do their rate adjustments with other cities and Marion County. So there's some synergies to try and get ourselves on that same cycle, as well as a potential disposal change, and I'll get to that in a moment. So those two reasons are why we're proposing a second January 1st. So we're basically taking a stair-step approach into this adjustment. Inflation, unfortunately, we're all very familiar with, has been much higher than historical. It has been coming down, and the feds are doing everything that they can, obviously, to create a soft landing. Unfortunately, it's been a little slower to respond than I think many people had hoped. The result of that is we're still in a historically high inflationary environment today, much different than what we experienced in 2022, which was 8.2%. 2023, I'm using this CPI, All Urban Consumers West Coast class size BC. It's the most commonly used CPI published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics for the state of Oregon. Anyways, in 2023, it did come down to 4.2. I think most people were anticipating inflation to return to a little bit closer to normal in 2024. Unfortunately, that has not yet happened. So not only were we a little higher in 2023 with cost increases, but we remain in a higher state. The good news, the index just published last week, and we are starting to see movement in the right direction towards lower cost increases. We are projecting for 2025, we don't have any data on this, but we're assuming that inflation returns to a more historical 3%. This page is just the math behind the assumptions that I just laid out for as far as our historical plus our projected inflation for 2024 and 2025. So disposal, this was one of the reasons for the transition to a two-step approach with January 1st. We have no information to suggest that disposal is going to increase in January. However, it has been 8 years since the last time disposal was increased by Marion County. Marion County holds flow control of all waste within Marion County and also sets the rate. The rate was $67.45 for about 15 years or so. It increased in 2016 to $87.45 per ton. That was roughly a 30% increase. Now we're looking at 9 years if it goes to 2025. And when you look at inflation over that period, the CPI shows 33.8. So we're starting to get in that same range where it was adjusted last time, 30. We're just anticipating that there is a chance disposal could increase in 2025. And the importance of that is it's going to be a large increase and it does impact rates. Disposal is the single largest expense for a collection company. Little context though on what disposal means in terms of an increase. So if we were to assume that it did adjust, again, we don't have any information to say it is or it isn't, but if it were to adjust and it were to adjust at a CPI, 87.45 in 2016 translates today to $121.20. That's the inflation adjusted number. That would represent about a $2 a month increase to a residential customer. If it's any combination there in between, every $10 of increase in disposal adds about 60 cents per month to a residential subscription cost. So a little bit of context, but because it's such a large expense and it could increase, and if it does, it's going to be a large, we want to make the qualification out there that everything that we are presenting here assumes no increase. But if it does increase, the ask on January 1st would likely have to change depending on how substantial such an increase could be. Any questions on disposal before we move forward?
Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to clarify a couple of things. So first of all, are you saying that there would be an increase regardless of what, or just in case? Okay, let me back up a little bit. So the county, as far as Marion County, and why we haven't heard if they're going to increase or what their increase will be and so forth. Is that unusual, or why the delay?
The delay is because the county is still working on a negotiation with Covanta.
Okay.
Now, Covanta handles within all of Marion County, incorporated and unincorporated, about 100,000 tons of waste that's generated within the county. The other 200,000 is handled by Marion Resource Recovery Facility, the joint partnership of all of the haulers that are in Marion County. There's 8 of them. But both of those tip fees are managed by the county and they're the same thing.
Okay.
So that's kind of the cause of not knowing exactly what disposal will be. Again, we have no information that says it's going to change. We're just saying it's the time where it possibly could change with a renegotiation going on and the amount of time that's transpired. But to answer your other question on terms of, is there an increase in January? dependent on a disposal? No, the ask right now, getting a little ahead of my packet, hopefully you've looked at it, it's 5% effective July 1. That's for 2024, and then 3% for 2025. That's just your inflationary number. If disposal changes, the 3% would have to be changed if the increase in disposal is substantial.
Okay, so the current, I follow up, sorry, thank you. So the first increase is, regardless of what Marion County does with their prices, that first increase is gonna need to happen. And then the second increase will be dependent on where they are in terms of how much they increase. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, just to clarify those, so the ask right now is assuming that there is no change to disposal. And that ask is a 5% effective July 1st and a 3% effective January 1st. That basically what that totals is 8%. Inflation during that period since the last price adjustment has been 8.2%. So that is just making whole for the cost increases that the haulers have experienced. The caveat in this is if disposal increases, it may change that 3% to be higher.
Okay,
It's a significant enough wild card that we wanted to disclose it so you understood.
okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, and I appreciate that clarification because I've had the idea in my head that this included that change. So this really depends on if Marion County Board decides to adopt a huge fee increase after 8 years of letting it ride. Is that correct?
That's correct, and just to be clear again, we have no information that says they are.
Okay. So they could still let it ride and
Yes.
continue to, and I haven't seen their financials for this particular endeavor, but if they've got some cushion to allow people to have some grace right now because everybody's hurting on the inflation. Something else that caught me a little bit by surprise, I did not realize that Covanta was only handling a third of the waste stream now. Has this been an ongoing decrease, a decline, and a rise in the, what you call the MRF, which is the, I've got it, Marion Resource Recovery Facility?
Yes, and Marion Resource Recovery Facility, often referred to as MRF, is equally owned by the 8 collection companies that operate franchises within Marion County, 2 of which are Lawrence and Valley. MRF started in 1999 as a C&D recovery. So trying to basically pull out your construction and demolition, C&D, material out of the waste to save landfill space. Since that time, MRF's, its impact on the solid waste system within Marion County has become much greater. It now handles the yard waste, your commingled recycling, many other things, in addition to all the additional and municipal solid waste that's generated within the county that cannot be handled by Covanta. And that's where we've seen a shift where Covanta is not quite handling as much. It's an older facility. I believe it's about 40 years old, and those tend to be the time frame on life expectancies of incinerators. So it is not accepting as much material in the past. Everything that Covanta cannot accept is fed to MRF, which is then reloaded and transported to Coffin Butte landfill. Add to that, there's been quite an increase in tonnage generated, waste tonnage generated within a county. And of course, all of that is also going to MRF.
So just follow up on one more, and then I'll go down the line. So you mentioned that the yard debris gets taken care there, and the commingle recycle is also taken there, and you've got
Yep.
separate spaces, and I haven't toured it recently, so I'm out of date.
Yeah, so they accept organic waste, which is in most cases it's going to be residential yard waste, but there could be some commercial food waste as well. That is reloaded then and then taken down to Pacific Region Compost down in Adair Village for processing, and is turned into compost. That compost then is sold back. Some of it is sold back into bagged compost. Scott's was the bagger for many years of that. It's also sold into the agricultural market for land application as a soil amendment. So it's your yard waste you could buy back from a bag of Scott, a bag of compost from Scott's, maybe at a Home Depot or whatever, or a lot of the food that you're potentially getting at the farmer's market is amended with that compost. And then the commingle recycle is just taken up to either Garton or Portland, some of the larger recyclers up there.
Okay, thank you. Any additional questions? Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the wild card, right, you're not gonna know really what that increase is. When do you expect to know?
Ooh, don't hold me to this one. Fall. Unfortunately, I don't think.
Oregon fall or like calendar fall?
Oregon fall is getting closer to November, thankfully, but, yeah, I would suspect, the earliest would be September, that we would have some sort of clarity. But I think October might be a better guess. It's not anytime soon, I know that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? Youth Councilor Woodard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this, I'm just kind of curious here, which, I mean, you might have already addressed it in this and I've totally glossed over it, but have the operational costs, have they increased, the 8%? Have they gone up, consistent with inflation?
They have,
Okay.
yes, and actually, they've gone up a little bit higher.
Okay, yeah.
The transportation indexes, if you look at those type of index, have gone up a little bit higher. Fortunately, right now, fuel, which is a
Yeah, for
predominant
sure.
part of that, has started to level off, so let's assume that stays the same. But yes, operational costs have, one of the largest expenses is disposal. It hasn't, so I should qualify that. But all the other costs, your disposal on commingle recycling is, commodity goes up and down. It's rather high. Yard debris, organics, that is seeing the increases. Labor in particular is high. Labor rates have gone up 5 to 7% over the last 3 years, each year. So those have outpaced inflation by quite a bit. But on the flip side, we have the benefit of disposal that hasn't changed over 3 years. But where it lands is, what we're experiencing is cost increases on the cost for the haulers is in line with that index.
All right, perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
That answers my question.
Right. Good question. Thank you very much. All right, we can keep going and talk about the new service.
I'll let John answer the questions on this one. What's somewhat unique within Marion County is there is no 95-gallon service. And I think in speaking to a lot of people, it's because we really want to promote less waste. And that is, I think, very valid. Where it becomes a challenge is you do have some large families or multi-generational families that produce a lot of waste, but may not be more waste in terms of the number of people living in the household. And without having the 95-gallon service, those individuals or those households could be experiencing a lot of cost and extra charges. The 95-gallon cart is common in Oregon everywhere. It's just not common in Marion County and the cities within Marion County for some reason. What we're proposing is to offer this service because sometimes we've seen that those who in other jurisdictions that have the larger cart, when you look at the demographic of those users, they might be in some cases when we're looking at equity, having a service that addresses this larger cart is going to help those households that sometimes need it the most. Whereas those extras can add up a lot. And the good news on this, if you don't need it, you don't have to pay for it. There is always the risk that if you offer a larger cart, the average resident may choose to opt for it and produce more waste. But we don't think, though, the size of the cart in this case is probably going to promote more waste being produced. We're really focusing here on those multi-generational and larger families who may be right now being hurt by the extra charges.
Thank you for that explanation. I was really intrigued when I got to this part of the narrative in the packet about the 95-gallon garbage cart. And I would agree with your assessment that the desire, over the years we've heard here at council, is for, if we have the smaller cans, we will recycle more. We will get our yard debris out. And a little plug for people who want to recycle their fiber, please take it to those places you see in the Safeway parking lot and not in these wonderful trash cans. That's also recyclable now. Get it out of the waste stream. So there's my little plug. In terms of wishful recycling versus real recycling, and I want to give a plug to our environmental division that's doing a great job of helping get the information out to the community about what will help you as you're sorting the commingled recycling to get stuff that can actually be recycled. Do you want to talk about that a little bit? And would this also help sort some of that out?
Yeah, so, we do a pretty good number of extras every month. And this is a way to address those extras. And then we have multiple customers that have 2 carts at their location. So they have a full service pack, and then we have a rate for a single cart. So they are getting hurt that way. So this will address that issue. In all the communities that I've ever worked in, we've always had a 95 gallon. And so that should fix that piece of it if we choose to go down this path. And what was your second question?
It was on the wishful recycling versus the actual recycling, and what impact do you think this may have on the utilization of the blue cans into the garbage cans?
I can speak a little forward of that because there's going to be some new recycling regulations come out. It's called Recycling Management Act that'll be going into effect relatively soon. I've been working with Kaylee and Jenny on it, and I know Kaylee's gone and I'm going to miss her, but there is we're going to be required to recycle certain commodity no matter what. And they're going to set the list. And there's going to be a couple people that manage that list that have been hired by the state of Oregon. So we hope that recycling is going to get better and easier, but that's the initiative and the plan, and to get more product out of that cart, out of the garbage cart. So I can say that we are moving that direction, and it's not up to the haulers, it's coming down from the top. The DEQ is managing this.
Okay, thank you.
It's a good
Council President
program.
Starr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Sullivan, can you help just educate me on the per occurrence and the extra charges? Is that, like, if I had an extra garbage, kitchen garbage bag that I set out, is that an occurrence, or is it as I call as I need? Like, if I didn't have garbage service and I just needed it once a month, maybe, I don't know. Can you talk me through that?
Yes,
Thank you.
An extra is 17 gallon or more, and that is $3.52, I think. And then we have another one, which is a 35 gallon or more, and that's $7.02. And then and then for the people that don't need service regularly, we have an on-call service, and we have about, I think, 20 people at our company participating in that on-call service, which is, we provide you with a card, and then they call it in, and we come in and pick it up.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? Councilor Kohler?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I remember years ago when we first moved to Keizer, we had a great big can. It was probably a 95 gallon can. That's now our recycling can, our yard debris can. And my neighbor the other day was saying, wow, that can looks really old. Well, it is. And so is there a plan to upgrade some of those old ones too? Or is that something that when it gets a big hole in it, somebody says, hey, we need to do that and somebody just comes out and replaces it? What's the procedure with that?
Yeah, so both companies have, if there's a defective cart out there and it has a leak or a broken wheel or whatever, we will come out and repair it or replace it. And we do, through attrition, we do that on a regular basis. Yeah, so if you have one that's worn out, don't hesitate to call and we come out and take a look at it.
Oh, they're great cans.
Yours might be, become an historical, entry for the Heritage Museum, one of the longest lasting cans.
Well, it's interesting, there's outline of all the Pinewood Derby cars that I've spray painted on the top of those.
I'll let Valley talk about that.
All right. Anything else on the news service? All right.
The next slide is the request, which we've somewhat already talked about. The request is 5% July 1, 3% January 1, totals 8. That's the cost increases over the last 2-year period. Again, the January 1st creates a cadence and consistency with the other cities and the county in terms of timing. And that just creates synergies and a more effective process for the haulers to do everything at the same time. It will also align with disposal increase if that were to happen. Let's go on to the comparison with the city of Salem. I use the city of Salem and not Marion County because Marion County has a different service level. Marion County, a vast majority of Marion County does not have yard debris service. So really changes the cost structure, whereas the city of Salem and the city of Keizer have exactly the same cost or service level, and they utilize the exact same disposal sites, and they're all serviced by the exact same haulers. The only difference, though, is Keizer has a 5% franchise fee, whereas Salem has a 7%. So given that change, you should expect apples to apples. Keizer should be 2% less expensive than the city of Salem. We're very happy to show on this that the proposed rates, when you get to January 1, 2025, those are pre-approved rates for the city of Salem. With our proposal to the 5 and then the 3 on January, we're still well below 2% deviation from the city of Salem. All that it's showing is the haulers that are servicing Keizer have found ways to be very effective.
Plus the decrease in our franchise percentage, that makes a big difference as well.
Yeah, that's about, if you look at let's say the 35-gallon cart, which is $37.85 in Salem, ease of math, that's roughly 75 cents is what it, if it was the same, so Keizer should be about $37 and change. We're proposing 34, 37, so we can see that that discount from Salem isn't necessarily meaning that they're operating on a lower margin. It means that they're operating on the same margin, but have found some efficiencies within the system, whether it's geography, whether they're well run, or you name it, they have been able to manage the companies at a lower cost structure.
We know they're both well run. And then I'll come to Councilor Reed. So for people who are following home in the packet, page 13 has the answer to the question you're asking, how many dollars and cents are we looking at? Because we start talking percentages, and that can either sound really big or really small, depending. But when you start this many dollars and this many cents, that's when it gets real, at least in my budget. And so that's really helpful for people to look at. We're talking about $3.23 for a 35-gallon, for example. I'm sorry, that's City of Salem, City of Keizer. So this is coming up. Do we have the current?
It's on the next page.
Okay, all right, that's the little print.
Yes, it's hard to see.
All right.
Yeah, it's not even visible. The
There it is.
65-gallon cart is the most predominant. I'll use that as an example. The current rate, as of today in Keizer, is $42.56 a month.
There it is.
It will go in July to $44.69, so that's $2.13. Then it goes to 4603 in January. That's another $1.34. So over the two-step process, it is an increase of $3.47 a month
Okay,
by the time you get to January.
right. And then, you both bill on the, 2-month cycle, right?
We currently do, yes.
Okay. All right, questions? And, Counselor Reed, I promised you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Am I to understand from this previous chart, that you plan on, offering the 95-gallon, service July 1st?
Well, that's as soon as we can get the carts. So the thought is if that's something that you would like, we would place the orders. And as soon as the carts, we would have to notify all of the customer base if they want to, and you can do that on a bill, is that correct? So let's say we order the carts and they arrived August 1st. Once they arrived, the haulers would send out a notice, likely on the invoice, the monthly invoice, that the upgrade is now available.
A follow-up?
Follow-up?
So, you're saying upon our approval, isn't that your decision?
Well, it's actually your decision.
Okay, so
Yes,
please explain.
That's the, no, that's, in the franchise system, what the haulers are guaranteed is a book of business. In exchange, the city council, and in the county commissioners set the rates, and the service level. So that is actually your choice tonight.
Oh, okay, so, well, actually, we're just approving the public hearing on this. We're not approving any,
Right.
so, okay. So it would be, our purview under the fact that we are, approving level of service. So along with the rate increase, we're also looking at approving this 95-gallon piece.
Correct.
So, and that will be determined at the public hearing.
Right.
Should we have one?
All right.
Thank you.
Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So last time, 18 months ago, you, the haulers, Lawrence and Valley were gracious enough to create an assistance fund. Can you talk a little bit about how the communication has gone with that, and then the usage of that or the request?
Yeah, we have had about 24 to 25 participants at our company. I'm not sure what Valley has at theirs. Similar, so about 50 probably community members have taken
Right.
advantage of that. We work closely with the city to figure out if they're eligible. The majority of people that call aren't eligible. We have a new website that we're working on currently, and we will be promoting that.
Great. As a follow-up, I just want to say thank you for hearing and putting that into action. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, and it was your staff that helped, so thank you very much for the
Go
help.
team.
Yes.
Good
Awesome.
job. Any other questions on the level of service and the proposed rates? All right. So for folks who would like to look at all of the details, it's all in the packet and it's all available online. Anything else, any final thoughts you want to leave us with? And then we'll have the conversation about the public hearing. No. Well, I'm going to give a little bit of a plug because one of the things that both of your companies do is community involvement. And you show up. Keizer Fest, parades, events around town, providing no or low-cost service. There was this big thing around the Civic Center. What was that? Civic Center cleanup, I think, with a very, very large dumpster. And I believe that was provided by Lawrence, was it not?
Correct.
So that is very much appreciated, but it's one of many ways that both your organizations work with our community to clean up our town.
Yeah, we appreciate the opportunity. Both companies do.
All right, well, I want to give a shout out to you because that's a big one each year, and a lot of yard debris gets compost because of that. Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. You might remember that during the big ice storms, we had a lot of debris that came down, And you guys really helped a lot during that time too, and again, thank you.
Yeah. That was definitely a community effort. Very much appreciated that. So, all right, well, thank you very much. And then we will have the conversation about the public hearing. All right, thank you. Council President Starr, would you like to put the motion on the table so we can deliberate, please?
Sure. I move that the Keizer City Council direct staff to set and advertise for a public hearing to be held on June 3rd, 2024, for the purposes of receiving feedback on proposed solid waste rate amendments.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council direct staff to set and advertise for a public hearing to be held on June 3rd, 2024, for the purposes of receiving feedback on proposed solid waste rate amendments. Discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Abstentions?
Abstain.
Motion passes with 5 aye, 1 absence, that is Counselor Husband, and 1 abstention, Counselor Cross. We will see you on June 3rd. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm gonna let the technology pull up before we start the next item. And there it goes. All right. We are now on to item 8B, which is an ordinance, second reading of ordinance relating to the recognition of neighborhood associations, repeal of ordinance number 93-257. And this goes to Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So this is, the council should be somewhat used to seeing this. The last time we met on this, the one ask was that we come back with the amendment. We voted and it wasn't a unanimous vote. There was a 1 no vote. So this is actually a second vote for this ordinance. And the change that, in the amendment that you guys voted on, is on page 27 of 87, or the 4th page of the ordinance. It's line 16. It says the Board of Directors shall fill any officer position vacancies by the 3rd meeting following the vacancy to meet the required 3 board positions. So that was the language that we were instructed to add. It's been added. So this would be your second vote on this ordinance.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions on the staff report? Council President Starr.
I move the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2024 relating to the recognition of neighborhood associations and repeal of ordinance number 93-257.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt ordinance 2024 relating to the recognition of neighborhood associations, repeal of ordinance number 93-257. Any discussion? I do want to state for the record a huge thank you to all of our neighborhood associations, as well as robust council participation in updating this ordinance from 1993 to 2024. It's been a lot of work, a lot of great input, and I look forward to continuing to adapt our processes going forward in a hopefully much more timely fashion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously with 1 absent, and that's Councilor Husband. That takes us now to item 8C, a resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase camera equipment and licenses for city parks. Chief.
It does come to me. Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. I'm happy to present an administrative action to bring cameras to the parks. So we are you might ask, LPRs are up. We're putting up cameras every Friday, hoping to put some more up this Friday. And then also body cameras, which is part of your short-term goals, on 1 line. Still waiting for the grant to find out if we receive the grant. Should know by August at the latest is what we've been told. So we'll get back to you on that. But this one is about cameras in parks. So you've probably read the staff report, but we are proposing to purchase surveillance cameras and software, camera software and hardware for multiple city parks, which would be Claggett Creek, Keizer Rapids, Little League Fields, Carlson State Park, Skate Park, Willamette Manor, and Bob Newton. Competitive quotes were obtained from local and national resellers, and the reason that Detective Avedison is here is because he did the majority of the work on our side. He worked with city manager, obviously with Bill Lawyer, and a bunch of other folks along the way, but he did a lot of the hard work. So when it comes to questions, I'm like, I'll bring in the expert. So if you have any. But this would be the purchase would include 5 years of upfront camera licensing through Milestone and Protect. The 22-axis cameras with light finder and infrared day or night image capability, internal memory storage, router with cellular service, mounting hardware, and cable. So we work, half of the administrative actions are to get the cameras and the licensing and the softwares, and the other part is going to be Bill Lawyer with the install. There's a bunch more that he's going to propose tonight as well. So as you know, we don't have cameras in the parks right now, so any crimes that occur, we look for either witnesses or cameras outside the parks in residential neighborhoods leading to the parks, or for, cars that leave or people that leave. The goal would be to notify patrol officers in real time for activities associated with criminal activity, such as vandalism, drug activity, sex crimes, and violent crimes. Investigators can also use the database after the crime occurs for searching for suspects or vehicles and license plates there in the park. So pretty big deal for us it's like we're moving forward in the 21st century with LPRs and the body cameras and the park cameras. So obviously the current situation is we don't have any at all. And so we do rely on detectives and investigating violent crimes and, canvassing neighborhoods and doing businesses and that kind of stuff. This is one of your strategic short-term goals. So it turned into a little bit longer than we expected, but we're finally at a point where we get to talk to you folks about it and approve it, hopefully. The total project cost on our end is $116,460 and $75. And again, that's for 5 years. That does not include the $550 of recurring costs every month for the signal and for the Verizon or for the FirstNet card to send the signal back and forth, which we would absorb into our budget this year and then propose a line item for next year. You have some choices tonight. You can adopt this resolution. You can take no action, and then, so that's really it. So you have two. So the staff recommends that the city council adopt the attached resolution authorizing the city manager to purchase licenses and hardware for surveillance cameras in parks using ARPA funds. So with that, I can bring up Detective Avedison for questions if you have any, and he would be happy.
Very happy.
Excited, he said, actually, at the beginning, to answer any questions.
Well, we do have questions, so may as well make your way up, and I'll go to Councilor Cross, who had a question.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'll wait for you to get situated. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that hard work. You did. I have a two-parter. So I think I heard 22 cameras, Chief Copeland, and I see 6 different places. So is that 3 to 4 cameras per location?
Yes, Councilor Cross. So we identified 6 parks which are the most problematic in the city as far as criminal activity, things like graffiti and vandalism. And we are going to install multiple cameras at some of those parks. So it's a total of 11 locations and 2 cameras per location.
And then my second question is, are we going to have cameras on our turf fields, being that it's a very expensive endeavor? Did we plan that? And if we haven't planned that, is that something we should just maybe add on to in this plan? Because if we're going to do it, what is your opinion?
We discussed that this current plan does not include cameras at those exact locations. There will be some in the area at Claggett Creek Park. So, but we can always add on to.
What are your thoughts?
I think once those fields go in, we should probably add a few.
Do you think it's easier to do it now with the initial or wait on that? being that I think, well, maybe Mr. Brown can answer. Aren't we looking at August
Yes, Madam Mayor and Council.
for the turf fields?
Councilmember Cross, yes, we're looking at August, and I think we should add in the cameras in either the second or third phase, or we have the capacity to do it now. When we went to Woodburn and looked at Liberty Park, their fields were covered with cameras.
Well, okay, thank you. I would just encourage all of us to just think about that because I know that the turf fields, even at the high schools around town, are very much an area of concern. Thank you.
That's a good word, yes. Yeah, yes, absolutely. So, just to be clear, so we're talking about this grouping tonight, but there is conversation about additional capacity and opportunity for cameras, especially as this system goes online. This has been something that the community's been asking for years to get done. So kudos to you and the team for bringing this to us.
Thank you.
If additional capacity is warranted, is this something that could be added into these contracts, or do we have to go back out?
Once the system is up and running, I think we'll have the capability to add more cameras. It'll be easier to do once we have a platform that's operational.
Mr. Lindsay?
I could help as well. So under public procurement law, you can amend upwards to 25% of a contract. So if there was a couple that wanted to be added, you could just do a kind of a change order in your existing contract, amend it and get it done that way.
Okay, staff can. Just for clarification, the staff can do that before coming back to council or engaging.
If it gets over the $25,000 limit, then it would come back in front of you.
Okay,
Yeah. And in either event, I assume your manager would keep you up to speed on it.
thank you. Councilor Reed?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, but given the fact that these are coming out of ARPA funds, would that make a difference with the contract or
The same rule would apply, the 25% amended rule. Because we're following our own state and local procurement laws, and that's one of the requirements. ARPA wouldn't jam us up for that.
Okay, thank you.
Right, exactly. All right, anything further? Council President Starr?
You have no idea how excited I am to make this motion. So, I move that Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R2024, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Cherry City Electric for parks camera electrical work.
That's the next one.
Oh, that's the wrong one. I'm on
I know.
D. I
You're
missed
so excited.
C. I'm so excited. I just gave it to you. Sorry. Okay. Rewind. Take two. I move the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R2024, authorizing the city manager to purchase camera equipment and licenses for city parks.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt Resolution R 2024, authorizing the city manager to purchase camera equipment and licenses for city parks. Any further discussion? Get ready for the, Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The $550 a month for wireless service, basically, each of these cameras, does that seem like a lot of money or a little money to you?
It's the going rate, is my understanding. It's about $50 per line.
So did we just put that out to bid, or did we just research that? How did we do that?
It's similar to what we use currently for air cards and cellular service for police cars. So basically, cellular connection per router would be $50 a month through FirstNet.
So we did some research on that.
Correct. That's,
Okay, thank you.
they're all about the same, I believe.
Anything further? Councilor Cross?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Sorry, could I get some clarification? So did you decide that, or with the turf fields, that we were going to lump them in, that you could, if you decided that later? Yes? Okay, thank you.
Yes, that was a clarification that was made that we can, turf fields and of other locations, rise to the top of needing, camera coverage based on the call volume from the police, they can make that recommendation, and up to $25,000, they don't have to go back out for another bid. Yeah, thank you, that's good. Mr. Brown.
Also, thank you, Madam Mayor and Council, since the artificial turf fields will have data in the poles because the electric lights will be all remote controlled, we won't have to have air cards for those cameras. They'll be able to go on the data inside.
Cool, so we get some additional efficiency out of those. Okay. Anything additional? Here's the question. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed signify by saying no. Motion passes unanimously, one absent, Counselor Hussman. Council goal, we can't wait to cross that one off as, or check the box as done. Thank you very much. Looking forward to this. Yahoo. Now let's finish this.
Now
Let's go to 8D, which is a resolution authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Cherry City Electric for parks camera electrical work. Is there anything additional, Mr. Lawyer?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Not a lot other than to say this work involves setting some fiberglass poles in some of the parks, Claggett, Keizer Rapids, for the cameras to actually be mounted on, and also to get power to the cameras, because the cameras won't do a darn bit of good without power. So this is a companion resolution to the camera purchases. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions for Mr. Lawyer on the electrical? Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This isn't directly tied to the electrical, but just the signage that says there are cameras, you are on camera. That is also an important piece of this because, you know, as you say, cameras aren't any good if they don't have electricity, but they're also a lot more efficient if people know they're there. So there are plans to, oh, he left.
Not with this part of the project.
Okay.
There are no signs involved.
Okay.
I cannot speak if they're involved with the cameras.
They have to. Chief?
I will just say we will make sure they are attached to the cameras in the parks.
I have a clarifying question.
Yeah, Council
They'll be
President
signed
Starr.
somewhere.
Do they have to be on the specific camera, or can you just put at the entrance to the park, beware you're on candid camera?
Yeah, we put somewhere very visible, but not maybe specifically on the pole.
But just in the, when they walk in? Okay, great. Thank you.
Right. And that's got a, as I understand it, that has a somewhat of a deterrence effect. When people go, oh, there's cameras here, maybe I'll take my business elsewhere. Just
spray
not to-"
can.
Yeah. And all those other wonderful behaviors. All right, anything further? Okay, do we have the motion on the table?
Well, I mean, I made it earlier,
You did.
but nobody
Did I
seconded
second?
it.
Oh, wait, second.
Okay,
Sorry.
it is moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council adopt resolution R 2024, authorizing the city manager to enter into an agreement with Cherry City Electric for parks camera electrical work. Anything further? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously, one absent, that's Counselor Hussman. All right, let's make it so. Fantastic. Yeah, big whoop whoop. All right, let's go on then to item 8E, which is motion to move forward with the settlement with Keizer Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees with PERS. Mr. Wood, Mr. Brown, who gets the short straw?
I have the short straw, Madam Mayor and Council, but I'm pleased to bring you this forward to you. This recommendation from staff is to move forward with the Oregon Public Employee Retirement System to resolve the outstanding issues with the PERS subject salary reporting from the city. That it's an issue that goes back over 30 years, and we're trying to correct that. It was, the issue is that contributions to a deferred compensation plan or a 457 plan specifically should have been included as subject salary for purposes of the calculation of employees' retirement. And 30 years ago, those contributions were very small, but they have increased over time. The city does that deferred compensation in lieu of participating in the Social Security program. So we don't, as an employer, contribute to Social Security for the employee, and neither does the employee contribute to Social Security. Instead, the city at some point opted out of Social Security, and the employer makes a contribution that is matched by the city's the city employees' contribution to a 457 plan, which is a deferred compensation plan. So this issue came up about a year ago, and we sought, a year and a half ago, we sought a definitive opinion from PERS, which is took some time to get, but last fall in 2023 received an opinion from PERS that for Tier 1 and Tier 2 employees that the contributions to the 457 should be considered as subject salary. So that was in November of 2023. Over that period of time, we received, we had to reach out to PERS to get communication, ways to communicate with our retirees, because up until then, the city has no relationship once they're retired, so we didn't have contact information. PERS was guarded our retirees' employee information as prudently as one would expect, so they released to us just mailing addresses. So we had to reach out through mailing, a first mailing, and the retirees were very responsive. Second mailing got almost 100% of the contact that we needed to be able to reach out to them. In that time, also from the finance end, we've been addressing ways to address that funding that will be needed to correct that. And also not just the funding, but how and by what means we could correct it. It was a possibility that and really up until the last couple months, that PERS had said, city, we want you to correct it outside of our system. We don't want any part of it. But through some persistence by our finance director, Mr. Wood, they agreed that they would participate in the correction of that issue. So we are appreciative of their willingness to be a part of the solution to this, and we're recommending that the city council allow staff to work directly with PERS to make the retirees' pensions whole.
All right. Thank you very much. Questions, Councilor Reed?
No, I didn't have one.
Oh, okay. Questions or comments? Anything further from Mr. Lindsay?
No, I think the city manager explained it really well. This, I would say, has been evolving and unfolding with that last bit of information from PERS just coming very recently. This is why this recommendation is only coming now, is because until shortly ago, PERS, it was still up in the air how we could even resolve it with them at all. So just to reiterate that point. So this is about as timely as we could be on getting towards this point where we would work down, if the council is so inclined to do so. Yeah.
And then in the report, there's a bit of a reference to if we didn't do this, we'd go back to what we were discussing before. PERS was willing to shoulder the high labor costs that go into this and the research that goes into getting all the numbers for all the employees for over 30 years. And we don't have that big a staff.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor, for mentioning that. And that was definitely a factor in our deliberations and in our conversations with you as a council. that outside of PERS, we'd be working one-on-one with the retirees, which would come at a great cost for attorneys and negotiators, communication personnel, and so.
Any other questions on the staff report? Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council direct the city manager and staff to work directly with PERS to correct the subject salary reporting issue.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the Keizer City Council direct the city manager and staff to work directly with PERS to correct the subject salary reporting issue. Any further discussion? Councilor Kohler.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Does this have any provision for us to be double checking PERS numbers, or is that something we would have to determine later?
Thank you for asking that, Council Kohler. We intend to bring back a third-party agreement that would have a accounting firm to make sure that we have confidence in the calculation that PERS is using to make them whole from protecting the city's interest. So that will be forthcoming.
Thank you very much, and thank you for bringing that up. Yes, we're going to check their work. Well?
They've never made a mistake.
No, I'll leave it there. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, signify by saying no. Hearing no objection. Motion passes unanimously with one absent, that is Councilor Husband. All right. Consent calendar, Council President Starr.
The consent calendar for tonight includes item A, approval of the April 29th, 2024 City Council work session minutes, and item B, approval of the May 6th, 2024 City Council regular session minutes.
Thank you very much. Any polls? Seeing none, Council President Starr.
I move that the Keizer City Council adopt the consent calendar as read.
Second.
The consent calendar has been moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed signify by saying no. Hearing no objection, motion passes unanimously, one absent, that's Councilor Husband. That takes us to other business. This time is provided to allow the mayor, city council members, or staff an opportunity to bring new oral matters before the council that are not on tonight's agenda. Mr. Brown, anything further from staff?
I have nothing further, Madam Mayor and Council.
All right, anything further from council? All right, let us go then to staff updates with Mr. Brown.
I only want to say happy Memorial Day next week. And I have a long family history of military service that I'm grateful for. So that's it.
Thank you. Mr. Wood?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Ms. Bissett?
Nothing tonight, Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Chief?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. Just going to give a quick update on our hiring process. We have interviewed 3 laterals. We liked all of them. One from Chicago, one from Louisiana.
Microphone.
What's that?
Turn on your microphone, please.
Oh, I turned it off is what I actually did. It was on already.
Okay.
So let me start over.
All right.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, City Councilors. I was going to update you on the hiring process on where we're at. So we've interviewed 3 laterals and liked all 3 of them, so we're moving them into background. And then we interviewed last week, I believe it was, or the week before, several entry-level applicants, and we liked 3 that we want to move forward to background. So moving them forward to background does not mean that we are hiring them. It means we're checking, exploring whether or not we do want to offer them a letter. So with that in mind, it's going to be a lot of work on our investigative unit. They're going to work a couple hours overtime to get these things kind of move forward in a quick, timely manner. Also, just an update on something that was mentioned here at a city council meeting a while ago with the tow ordinance. There were some concerns about making sure that all the apartment complexes and owners of the apartment complexes were notified of the new tow ordinance and the requirements. And Lieutenant Wenning spent some considerable time last week making sure that every apartment complex in the entire city would receive notification by letter and in person. So anyways, he's still working. There's a couple he didn't get to because they don't have on-site managers, but he's actively trying to get all those people notified. So good time for him. That's all I have.
Well, thank you. Also want to give a shout out to Keizer Police for being part of the walking school bus to Kennedy Elementary School last week as part of the Safe Routes to School program.
Yes, we always enjoy those, and it seemed like I wasn't able to be there, but Lieutenant Hine and, of course, Lieutenant Nelson with CODA showed up, and a couple other individuals. So, and then the parade this weekend obviously went off excellent with the chamber. It was a joint effort, and it went off very well this weekend.
Thank you for all of the work that you and the entire team did for both events. Really appreciate that. Mr. Lawyer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I actually have 3 updates for you tonight, all related to the April 1st City Council meeting. At that meeting, the Traffic Safety Bikeways Pedestrian Committee representative reported on 3 motions that they made and approved, making recommendations to the City Council. The first one was to modify the bike lane striping on Lock Haven Drive to include a buffer for westbound bikes and move the bike lane away from the curb for eastbound bicycles. Staff requested a cost estimate from DKS and Associates to perform a study on this and provide a recommendation. The cost for that study is $8,500. My recommendations do not move forward with that study. That bike lane was evaluated and restriped when we repaved Lock Haven in 2017. So I believe that it meets current bike lane striping standards. If the council wishes me to pursue further action on this, I can have the study. I can initiate the study. The second one is the recommendation was to modify the bike lanes on Shamal Road Northeast from near River Road from the florist shop to River Road. This is westbound bicycles. To include green warning stripe in front of the florist shop. Again, I requested an estimate from DK and Associates on providing a study and recommendation for this modification. The cost for that study is $6,500. My recommendation is to not move forward with that study. I believe that one, putting green paint down is going to be an ongoing maintenance issue because the green paint wears off extremely fast. The bike lane really just ends and there's no way to do anything different with the bike lane in that location. There's not width curb to curb to do any lane modification, to consolidate lanes or eliminate a lane. There's no room to add extra width for striping to accommodate any kind of buffer there. The third item was a recommendation to construct the curb gutter and sidewalk on Keizer Road from Vertical Lane east to the end of the existing sidewalk. It's about 160 feet. Had an estimate created by our engineering firm. It's about $153,000 they estimate to design and construct that. That does not include property acquisition. I previously had conversation with the property owner there. This has been 2 or 3 years ago. Some questions they had for some work they were doing on their property. And I posed to them, if we were ever to decide, this was in regards to a Safe Routes to School grant and adding that section of curb and sidewalk, that if we were successful in that grant, would they dedicate the right-of-way? And they indicated they would. So I did not include land acquisition in that project, so it's $153,000 to construct it estimated. It's not included in the fiscal year 24-25 budget, so I'd be looking for the city council to guide me on the priority that you see for that project and where it fits within the street fund budget.
So one thought on that one would be to get it shovel-ready, and if there's Safe Routes to School grants, I know there's some infrastructure dollars that they're looking at. And also, we're having a lot of conversations statewide on the statewide transportation package, but Safe Routes to School for infrastructure is something that they are interested in. So if there's a grant opportunity that is ready to jump in and say, we know how to use that money.
Well, if I may, we tried Safe Routes to Schools on this before.
Yeah,
It failed miserably. It's not going to do any better,
okay.
ever, unless they change the requirement or the criteria in the Safe Routes to School. The main reason for that is the volume on the road, the speed on the road, and the classification of the road. It's a residential street, it's a local street, it's not a collector, not an arterial. Statewide grant funding scores go up considerably for consideration when you're talking about an arterial or collector and speeds 35 or 40 and above. So while we can get some shovel-ready plans done, I don't think it would ever qualify for safe routes to schools unless they change their criteria dramatically, so.
Well, if we can, and again, looking to council for anything different, but if we can get that one ready for opportunity, I think that's in the best interest, for the community, and then have the conversation about where the priority lies for 24, 25, or, 25, 26. I think a big wild card that you're dealing with is the Verta Lane project. Is that correct?
Funding-wise, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And based on the Budget Committee's approval of the recommended budget, I'm good for 24, 25.
Okay.
I don't have a lot of money available for unplanned things right now. Design for that project on Keizer Road's about $30,000. I'm hesitant to commit to being able to do that now. As we move into that fiscal cycle and we get maybe halfway through and I have a better idea on where some projects are, and maybe I'd be more willing or more able to say, yeah, we can get that done.
Okay.
But I'm a little hesitant to commit to that right now. If
Maybe-
the council really wants me to do it, I'll make it happen.
Right.
But I can't commit to it. I don't feel comfortable committing to it right here tonight.
So is council good with making this an illustrative, so it stays on the list, but it moves into funded if once funds are identified? Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Mr. Lawyer, can we get quarterly updates from you on where some of the projects are so we have an idea financial-wise where we might be with some of your line items?
Sure. In fact, I'll give you, yeah, we can do that.
Great,
I'll
thank
give you an initial update the night the budget's passed when I present the resurfacing contract.
Great, thank you.
You bet.
Ooh, we love the resurfacing when it's done.
Okay.
All right, thank you very much on that. And?
You bet. That's all I have. Other than the parade was great. My guys had I had a dump truck in there, did a nice job getting the barricades out and getting things ready for traffic control, assisted with the police department, get things set up, picked up. And a shout out to Lawrence. Once again, they did a fantastic job cleaning up the parade route immediately following the parade. So,
And also want to give a shout out for June 18th, I believe is Public Works Day.
yes, it is. 10 to 2, Keizer Rapids Park.
All right, be there or be square. Thank you. Mr. Witham.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just one thing, next week we're having an open house that's actually going to be in downtown Salem at the Marion County Courthouse Square Building, 555 Court Street. It is an open house for the scenario planning process that we are in the midst of in partnership with Marion County and the city of Salem. So I just wanted to get that out there. Anybody who's watching, y'all, everyone, you're invited. It's going to be a very informal open house setting, so there'll be information, and there is information on our website, and there's a survey out there. So it's an effort to engage at the kind of the front end of the project. So I just wanted to make that announcement.
And the time again?
May 29th from 4 to 6 p.m.
May 29, 4 to 6. Thank you very much, appreciate that. This is a project that some of us saw coming a long time ago, and it's just a matter of when the Department of Land Conservation and Development will figure out the mechanism to make it happen, and they finally did. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this impacts our transportation system plan. And just to remind everybody, Mr. Witham, once this process is complete, that's when we are moving close to the front of the line for a transportation system plan update grant from DLCD. Is that correct?
That is correct. And actually, I don't like to say things to jinx them necessarily, but I have had a couple of meetings with ODOT representation who funds the transportation system plan updates. So I actually received about a week ago a draft scope of work that I'm working through looking at. And I am looking to schedule a follow-up meeting with ODOT representation in the beginning of June. So just keep fingers crossed and all of those kinds of things, but we would probably be looking at kicking off the TSP project in maybe like the beginning of 2025 is kind of what the thought process is. Obviously, there's a lot of moving parts, and you're correct. This scenario planning process is one of those moving parts. But we are moving forward with chatting with the powers that be on looking at funding opportunities to look at updating the TSP. So.
Right, thank you. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and Council. I guess the one thing I would just say, one of the things that I did this week or this last week that you guys know about is I went and sat through my first Keizer budget meetings. And what I saw actually was a decent bit of imagination and creativity and a lot more engagement from the committee than I've seen in the past. And so I thought you guys came up with a nice product that was a lot of compromise and a lot of imagination that went into it, and I was impressed. So I thought I don't know if I'm stealing anybody else's thunder. I thought Dan Kohler did a good job as chair as well. So I appreciated it. I would also say that Public Works Day, the 18th of June, is my dad's 80th birthday, so I'll be celebrating that with him.
He can come down and get a turn on the backhoe. That'd be really cool. And then before we go to council updates, I also want to point out that this should have arrived in everybody's mailbox. This is the City of Keizer 2023 Annual Drinking Water Quality Report. This should also be on our website, but it is mailed to all of the residences in Keizer, or is it all the accounts in Keizer? All the addresses in Keizer. So I got my copy. It's a great read. And again, reminding all of us that keeping our system in a state of good repair allows for us to have high quality water that we can enjoy 365 days a year. So kudos to our Public Works Department for the water quality. Enjoy the read. Council reports, and I'll start with Councilor Cross.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's call this What's Going Well. So I'm going to go through this. The UGM luncheon was amazing. There was over 600 people, and it's always great to have a big event like that in Salem, knowing that all those dollars are coming here to Samanka House here in Keizer. Also, in the last couple weeks, I attended Latino Business Alliance Pan Dulce, Salem Chamber Monthly Forum, which was great because got to hear Northwest Natural Gas President speak, which they're great partners with us, attended Marion County Commissioners meeting, and the Liberty House auction, which they're such great partners in continued care for the children in our community. I will let Councilor Duran talk about all the fun we had at Iris Day and the pancake breakfast. And let's see, the last thing I have, I was appointed by the governor to the Oregon State Fair Council Board of Directors, and I attended my first meeting on May 16th, and I am taking the place of Marion County Commissioner Kevin Cameron, so that is super exciting to be there and just continue to work on the fairgrounds and expo center and making sure that they continue to be a valued part of our Oregon history and that, you know, they are able to self-sustain. Thank you.
Congratulations. Councilor Duran.
Okay, I too went to the Marion County Commissioners meeting with all of us that were there, and we got a lot of good information about, was it House Bill 4002? What Marion County is doing, and that was really nice to see that our area is already a step ahead and actually leading the way on this. So that is nice to see that things are going well for us in that aspect, and hopefully the police will be able to use the new legal changes to benefit us. So that was just something that I think that was most of the meeting. So that was good. Keizer Fest Golf Tournament on Friday. 3 of the 4 winners are here of that tournament. I can't say we golfed really well. I think more than anything, we paid more money than anybody else to be able to win.
Use the rules.
rules to your advantage.
Use the rules to our advantage. So that was Chief Copeland, Soraya Cross, and myself and my daughter Claire were the winners of that golf tournament, and we had a great time. We bought a lot of
broken
mulligans,
windows.
and we used them well. So then Saturday, I got to ride around on the back of the trailer with the trash cans again, putting out trash cans for the parade with Jonathan Thompson. And I've done that for, I don't know, the last 8 years or so. And that's always kind of fun, dodging traffic. And then Sunday, I spent the morning making pancake batter for the pancake feed. And that was a good time. There was a smaller turnout, I think, than we all expected, but it was a good time. So that was my weekend.
Thank you very much. Council President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to reiterate the kudos to Lieutenant Wenning for hearing my pleas of communication. So I really appreciate his efforts and time that he spent making sure that robust communication plan happened. And also to Sergeant Edison and team and Lieutenant Nelson and everyone who spent time on that camera project. I think it was Sergeant Edison who did a white paper on that back like many years ago on what that would look like to put that into practice in our parks. So I just, again, want to say thank you for all of that time. Appreciated Coda doing her work at the parade. I saw her making sure everybody was good there at one of the intersections, so that was awesome, and as well as going on the walk, so thank you for that. Again, attended the Board of Commissioners meeting with the City of Salem and the City of Keizer. The parade, the pancake breakfast, that was an early morning on Sunday morning. So also want to give a shout out to the Powerland Heritage Museum for Steam Up for Kids on Saturday afternoon. That was a really great event for our community. Saw a lot of people that came from the parade and went out there. And then also on May 8th, throughout a ceremonial first pitch at the first game of the season for the, I can't remember which teams played, but the Mavericks Independent League. And we'll do that again on Wednesday for city and public, city employee day, I think it is, City Day. And then also just a reminder for everybody, Tuesday is voting day. So please make sure you turn in your ballots. I read that it's historical low numbers this year. So just encourage everybody to get out the vote.
Hear, hear. And if anybody wants to drop it off, our box in front of the Keizer Civic Center is open 24/7. Drop it off. It's too late to mail them, but you can know that it's being picked up directly by Marion County Elections from the box here at the Keizer Civic Center. Thank you, Council President Starr, for that reminder. It couldn't be easier. Fill out the ballot, make sure you sign it, turn it in. Before 8 o'clock tomorrow night. It is not open till midnight. 8 o'clock is when that box closes. So please get your ballots down here. Councilor Kohler.
Well, thank you, Madam Mayor. On the 9th, I attended the Clyde Creek Watershed Council meeting. Soggy Day in the Park will be from 10 till 2 on May 25th at Keizer Rapids Park. So come and have a free party. We'll have some food till it runs out. And then 13th and 14th, we had a little budget committee meeting. And I just, again, want to say thank you to all those people that made that all possible. I thought it went a lot better than it could have, so thank you. And then the 15th, I attended the Northwest Keizer Neighborhood Association monthly meeting. We had 12 in attendance. Had a presentation from the Keizer Fire. Talked about helping neighborhoods, nominations for board. Next meeting will be June 19th. On the 16th, I delivered a blue Electron blue metallic convertible Corvette to the new owner. And
So I know Chief Copeland's jaw just hit the floor. like, he doesn't get a ride anymore.
We'll figure something out. And then we had a little parade on the 18th, 19th. I attended a side-by-side concert with Salem Symphony and the Salem Youth Symphony, which was quite an interesting event. Today is Eliza Doolittle Day for those of you that care. And I attended a fundraiser for Shopping with a Cop today at the Brothers Collection. Amazing facility and a great cause. I remind you on the 22nd, the Wednesday is the Keizer Community Dinner served by Thrivent, and wish everyone a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day.
All right, thank you very much. And Councilor Reed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So, kind of going off of Councilor President Starr, I also attended a Volcanoes game for Teacher Appreciation Day, and so just to appreciate the community involvement with that organization. So, and that was just a lot of fun. So, thank you for that. Also attended an Islander graduation ceremony for the Salem Keizer School District, and that was at McKay, and that was recognizing all of the Islander community, and just really proud of all of those seniors, and always wonderful to see that community get together because they know how to have a good time. So, and then went to see 12th Night at McNary High School last weekend. That was, they haven't done a Shakespeare show there for a while, and it was really enjoyable, and a lot of hard work went into that. And then went to West Keizer Neighborhood Association meeting on the 9th, and Chief Copeland did a presentation for that. So again, just really appreciate the community involvement of our police department, and also of West Keizer Neighborhood Association, just making everybody aware and available, or aware of what's going on. So thank you very much for your efforts. It's always good to see what's going on. And there is a Keizer Community Band concert here tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and that will be after the Keizer Heritage Foundation meeting, and then after the Keizer Public Arts Commission meeting. So that will be the third meeting of the night. But yeah, it'll be a good time. Keizer Community Band does a lot of really good work, and it will be an enjoyable way to end that evening. So great. And then I will let Youth Councilor Tate talk about all the senior things happening.
Yes, indeed. Before you get started, when is your last meeting with us in this role? Are you going to be here June 3rd?
I think this is my last week as being up here, but I plan on, coming down and being here June 3rd in the audience and stuff. But
all right.
I'm not exactly sure when my last meeting, but I think it's today.
Okay, but you will be here June 3rd?
Yes, for sure.
All right, perfect.
Yeah.
Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So the first thing to talk about is, all the senior events. So this is my last year. I'm a senior this year, so kind of everything. This is our full last week of school. It's definitely been an interesting ride with COVID and all, but we have like the banquet coming up. We have the senior grad party, tons of people talking about commencement speakers for graduation, people talking about who's going to get the graduation tickets and what family members are going to be able to go. But I also have to talk about, being able to be here and how grateful I am that I've had the opportunity to, sit here and be able to, just learn from everyone here. And, some ways or another, I've obviously learned more from some people than others, but it's just the interactions I've had with people have been, and it's just such an amazing, experience to be able to learn just like, kind of how everything works. Because obviously, I'm sure the vast majority of youth and probably the vast majority of the adults in Keizer, aren't aware exactly how everything works in the city and the interactions inside of it. And for me, to be able to have, the opportunity to be able to learn next to all of you. And, I thank everyone for being here and doing what they do for the city. I've grown up here, and, it's been a great experience. And so I thank everyone. I thank the people of Keizer that have even, allowed this position to be a thing. And, I'm just really grateful that I've had this opportunity to kind of, learn about potentially what I want to do in the future and, just learn about my community even more. So thank you.
Well, thank you. Great job.
Thank you.
The reason I was asking for June 3rd was to make sure that we can do a more complete send-off for you. But if you weren't going to be here, I was going to try to at least ad hoc tonight. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
We're glad you will be here on June 3rd. Before I go into my report, I'm not going to get through this. Last Thursday morning, we woke up to the announcement that a beloved member of our community who has brought a great deal of joy and laughter and fun and one of the biggest hearts for community, I can't look at you, had passed away during the night. Tony Grove of Tony's Kingdom of Comics. He brought so much to our community. He used his shop for generosity, for giving, for caring for neighbors, from the Princess Leia Foundation to the Magic Wheelchairs to the Batusi contest to Keizer Community Food Bank, which he supported wholeheartedly year-round with that barrel in his store, doing free comic book days and anything he could to get food to people in our community. There wasn't anything he wouldn't do for you, give his shirt off his back. And his family, they are continuing that tradition, Anne-Marie and Sean, with the work they're doing with Punks at the Park and so much more in our community. Tony has left a legacy of love in our community that will enrich us forever. And what I would ask of all of you is, I had begun before this happened, when we learned he was retiring, I'd begun an application for Volunteer of the Quarter. And I would ask for you to send a paragraph, a memory of Tony to my email address at clarkc@keizer.org, so we can put that together for a Volunteer of the Quarter award that we will then present to his daughter, Anne-Marie, and her husband, Sean Cruz. I would like to do that in the next several weeks or months, just so we can, in some small way, say thank you to a person who made a big difference in our community. Tony Grove, may the force be with you. Okay, I made it. Couple of other things to add to what we were talking about tonight. I was able to attend the Turnaround Awards Luncheon. Thank you so much to Valor Mentoring for continuing this amazing tradition that was begun by the owners of Town and Country Lanes, as Don and Ann Liebold, and to hear the stories of success of students from all across our district. Again, that often is a three-hanky event for a really good reason. And this one did not disappoint, as we heard story after story of students who have, with the support of family and friends and teachers and staff, turned their lives around for a very bright future. It was the Latino Business Alliance on May 9th was mentioned. The city manager and I attended that also. And then we met with the SEDCOR Business Retention and Expansion Coordinator, the new one for Marion County, that's Kip Morris. Looking forward to partnering with him on work on lands that would be eligible for development and opportunities in Keizer. And I learned a lot more about what SEDCOR can do for Keizer. The next day celebrated the Comcast ribbon cutting out at Keizer Station. Welcome to Comcast. And I really appreciate them investing in our community, and to their new manager there. Her whole family was there. It was a beautiful event, and happy to be part of that. Already covered the city-county. The League of Oregon Cities, the Transportation Policy Committee has had their final meeting, and they're making recommendations that will come to all of us, along with recommendations of other policy committees. The one I'm working on with the Community and Economic Development Policy, we have our final meeting coming up next week. And then we'll be bringing all those recommendations forward for us to prioritize what we, the cities of Oregon, will be working on with our legislators in the long session. I want to give a special shout out and thank you to Councilor Reed for covering the Mayor's Pet Parade. Cloning is still not something I can do well, so as I was working with the intrepid crew of Jeremy and Taylor, Jeremy and Taylor Turner, Judging the floats, Councilor Reed was taking care of and amply leading the pet parade for our four-legged community members. So thank you so much for that. Just a couple things coming up. Again, as was said, cannot say enough, get your ballots in by 8 o'clock tomorrow night. On the 22nd, I've been invited for the first time to join with the school district for the Crystal Apple Awards. I was really pleased that leadership of the Salem Keizer School District has reached out to the cities and asked us to be part of, at least be there to support the teachers in our community. So I'm happy to be there. That's pretty much what I've got going on. So I will leave it there. Agenda input. We will meet at, as been mentioned several times, on June 3rd at 7 p.m. in regular session. And I believe that will be the night for our budget hearing. Mr. Wood, yes. So that's going to be the time that the city council will be considering the budget that was recommended by the budget committee this last week. On June 10th, we will meet in a work session. I believe we do have a topic. I'm trying to remember what that is.
It's procurement.
Oh, procurement part 2. So it was asked that we come back and have an additional conversation to make sure we're clear about how we want that to go forward for our procurement update, which is one of our short-term goals. And then on June 17th at 7 p.m., we will meet in regular session, and then July 1st, 7 p.m., regular session. That is all I have, and we are at the end of our agenda. The time is 9:09, and we are adjourned.